I just finished the first episode of Lord of the Mysteries. And I'll be honest, I was overwhelmed. Not in a bad way, but in that way where the story throws so much at you that you can't quite keep up. There's a ritual, a suicide, a crimson moon hanging in the sky, a diary, strange deaths, and a protagonist who doesn't even belong in this world. It's a lot. And yet, instead of pushing me away, it pulled me deeper. And that made me stop and think, why? Why does Lord of the Mysteries work, when most stories that try this would just leave me confused and frustrated? That's what I want to talk about today. Because if you're interested in writing, there's a lesson here. Episode 1 doesn't hold your hand. It drops you into this Victorian world of steam, rituals, and occult horrors. And it expects you to keep up. We meet Klein, or Zhou Mingrue, or both. A man from modern Earth who performs a luck enhancement ritual, and suddenly wakes up in another body. A man who apparently shot himself, but whose body somehow healed, as if death didn't want him yet. Within minutes, you're juggling questions like, who really is Klein? Why did he die? What is this gray fog where he seems to have godlike power? And one question kept running through my mind. If he transmigrated, what happened to his body on Earth? Is he dead? Unconscious? Did he disappear? Is it even possible to go back to his body? That's already a lot of mysteries, before the first episode even ends. Usually, when a story throws so much at the audience, it fails. Because confusion on its own is exhausting. It makes us want to give up. But here's the difference. Confusion pushes people away. Curiosity pulls them in. And Lord of the Mysteries is a masterclass in balancing the two. If the story just kept throwing mysteries at us with no guide, we'd check out. But we do have a guide, Klein himself. He's just as lost as we are. He wakes up in a body that isn't his. He faces powers he doesn't understand. And he reacts in ways that make him feel real. He doesn't suddenly become fearless. He doesn't know the rules. Sometimes he plays the fool. Sometimes he's deadly serious. Sometimes he's too calm. Other times, you can sense panic just beneath the surface. And in that way, he mirrors us. We're not supposed to know everything. We're supposed to stumble through it with him. That's why the confusion doesn't make us quit. It makes us lean forward. You can overwhelm your audience with questions, but only if you give them a hand to hold. That hand is the protagonist. If the main character reflects the audience's confusion, we feel safe being lost. We can trust the story. We know it's okay not to understand everything yet. But when the characters act like everything makes sense while we're lost, that's when audiences disconnect. Klein doesn't do that. He's learning right alongside us. And that keeps us curious. A lot of beginner writers are afraid of confusing the audience. So they over-explain. They give us long backstories, world-building lectures, or magic system breakdowns right at the start. And sure, that avoids confusion. But it also kills curiosity. What Lord of the Mysteries proves is that curiosity is stronger than clarity. We don't need every answer up front. In fact, too many answers too early just make a story predictable. What we need is a reason to keep asking questions. And that's what episode 1 delivers. Walking out of episode 1, I was overwhelmed. But instead of shutting down, I found myself hooked. Because the confusion wasn't just noise. It was layered with curiosity. And Klein was there, stumbling right beside me, showing me it's okay not to know. But, if I'm honest, the episode could have been a little less overwhelming. They start with this long exposition about the power system, the rankings, the pathways, the potions. And before we even meet Klein, there's this intense opening scene. A dramatic voiceover, the protagonist caught in a deadly fight, and the city shown being blown up. It looks and sounds incredible, sure, but it left me exhausted and a little confused, even before the story really started. If it were up to me, I would have started with Klein waking up from the gunshot, and let the audience discover the world gradually. And maybe that's the lesson for writers, too. Exposition is important, but too much, too soon, can overwhelm curiosity instead of feeding it. And sometimes, not knowing is exactly what keeps us moving forward. It keeps us curious, keeps us alive to the mystery.